The legend of King Aegeus, Theseus, and the Minotaur. Today's journey takes us back into the age of heroes, into the time when gods and mortals still touched each other's lives, when destiny was written not only by men, but also by the will of Olympus. This is the story of King Aegeus, his son Theseus, and the shadow of the Minotaur. It is a tale of courage, sacrifice, divine jealousy, and tragic love. And it is a tale that gave its name to the Aegean Sea. The burden of a king. Long ago, Athens was ruled by King Aegeus. He was not the strongest of kings, nor the most warlike, but he was wise and cared deeply for his people. Yet a terrible sorrow lay upon his reign. For years earlier, Athens had been defeated in war by mighty Crete, ruled by the powerful King Minos. As punishment for that war, Minos demanded a cruel tribute. Every 9 years, 7 young men and 7 maidens of Athens had to be sent across the sea to Crete. They were not hostages. They were not ransomed. They were sacrifices. For on Crete, hidden in a twisting maze of stone, lived a monster, the Minotaur. Half man, half bull, born of both divine curse and human pride. Those chosen were sent into the labyrinth. None ever returned. Each time the black-sailed ship left Athens, the city wept. And King Aegeus wept with them, his heart heavy with grief, yet powerless against the May of Minos. The monster in the maze. The Minotaur was no ordinary beast. Its story reached back into the will of the gods themselves. Minos, proud king of Crete, had once prayed to Poseidon, asking for a sign to prove his right to rule. The sea god had sent him a miraculous white bull, shining and perfect. It was meant to be sacrificed in Poseidon's honor, but Minos, greedy for such a magnificent animal, kept it for himself. The god was angered, and so he cursed Minos' house. His wife, Queen Pasiphae, was struck with unnatural desire for the bull. From this union was born the Minotaur, a creature of shame and terror. To hide it, Minos ordered the great inventor Daedalus to build the labyrinth, a maze so vast, so winding, that no one who entered could ever find the way out. And within this prison of stone, the Minotaur fed on flesh and fear. The choice of Theseus years passed. The tribute continued, and the people of Athens grew desperate. Among them was Prince Theseus, son of Aegeus, strong, bold, and unafraid of destiny. When the time came again to send 7 youths and 7 maidens, Theseus stood before his father and said,
"Father, I cannot watch this any longer. I will go to Crete myself. I will face the Minotaur, and I will end this curse upon Athens."
Aegeus was struck with pride and with fear. He knew the danger, but he also knew that fate had chosen his son, and so he agreed. But before the ship departed, he gave Theseus one last instruction.
"My son, if you succeed, if you return alive, raise white sails upon your ship, so that I may see your victory from the cliffs. But if you are lost, leave the black sails aloft, so that I may know your fate and grieve you from afar."
Theseus swore to obey, and the ship set out across the sea. The Princess and the Thread. When the Athenian youths arrived in Crete, they were brought before King Minos. And there, in the royal court, Theseus first saw Princess Ariadne. She was the daughter of Minos and Pasiphae, beautiful and clever, yet trapped within her father's shadow. When Ariadne beheld Theseus, something stirred in her heart. Whether it was love, pity, or the will of Aphrodite herself, she could not let him die. She came to him in secret, whispering,
"Theseus, if you go into the labyrinth, you will never find your way out. But I can help you. Take this ball of thread, tie one end at the entrance, and unwind it as you go deeper. Only then will you find your way back."
Theseus took her gift and her hand and promised that if he triumphed, he would take her with him to Athens. The battle in the labyrinth. The next day, the Athenians were led into the labyrinth. Dark passages stretched before them. Stone walls twisted and turned without end. But Theseus was not afraid. He tied the thread at the entrance and pressed forward. At last, deep within the maze, he found the Minotaur. The monster roared, its body towering, its bull's head gleaming in the shadows. The battle was fierce. Stone echoed with the clash of struggle. But Theseus was strong, and the gods favored him. With skill and courage, he struck the Minotaur down. The monster of Crete lay dead. The curse was broken. Gathering the other Athenians, Theseus retraced his path by the thread of Ariadne, and they escaped into the night. Love and the gods. True to his promise, Theseus fled with Ariadne. They sailed together across the sea, hearts filled with hope. But the gods are never idle. Dionysus, god of wine and ecstasy, had already chosen Ariadne as his bride. On the Isle of Naxos, the will of the gods unfolded. Some say Dionysus came to Ariadne in a dream, claiming her as his own. Others say he appeared in thunder and light, demanding she remain with him. And some whisper that Theseus, fearing divine wrath, left her sleeping on the shore, sailing away with a heavy heart. Whatever the truth, Ariadne's fate was sealed. She became the immortal wife of Dionysus, crowned with a garland of stars, and Theseus sailed on, alone. The black sails. But the gods had one more twist of sorrow in store. As Theseus's ship neared Athens, a storm swept across the sea. Winds tore at the sails. The white cloth, the signal of victory, was ripped away and lost to the waves. Only the black sails remained. High upon the cliffs, King Aegeus stood watch. Day after day he scanned the horizon, his heart bound by hope and fear. At last he saw the ship, and when his eyes found the dark sails, grief struck him like a blade. He believed his beloved son was dead. In despair, the old king threw himself from the cliffs into the waves below. The sea embraced him, and from that day on, it bore his name, the Aegean Sea. Epilogue. Thus ended the tale of Aegeus, a king who loved his son too deeply, and whose sorrow gave a name to the waters of Greece. Theseus lived on, hailed as a hero, yet forever marked by the weight of fate. And the story of Ariadne, the princess who gave her heart to a stranger, was carried into the stars. This tale reminds us that courage may defeat monsters, but even the bravest cannot escape the designs of the gods.